Hello everyone. I have an important announcement to make. Because I now have 100 subscribers, I have decided to branch off into a second subject, this time covering history in its fullest. Before I continue with this video, don't forget to join Micah's Discord server and keep up the comments, for only those promoting blasphemy against the Lord shall be taken down. Now on with the video, where we shall talk about the history of Japan. First of all, I made this video wanting to do it well, so I have learned Japanese history from only the most trusted sources imaginable. First, I took a look at pro-Japan groups such as the Black Dragon Society and Tate no Kai, but I was disappointed in their anti-Japanese propaganda, such as their baffled looks when I told them that Japan founded the Roman Empire. Thus, I looked to alternative sources. Peter Demon of VaticanCatholic.com. I have also learned it from communicating with various dead figures, such as Barack Obama, Antipavlik, Julius Caesar, and Constantine the Great. Because of this, I know Hebrew, Ancient Atlantean, Egyptian, Old Proto-Portuguese spoken about 6,000 years ago, both forms of Latin, classical, ecclesiastical, and esoteric, and the Jedi language. All I'm saying is, you can trust me because I'm the best source imaginable for this subject. Japan was born when Izanagi created Adam and Eve on Mount Fuji as the first human beings ever to exist in the world. However, these humans were primitive and dark, living within one civilized archipelago, near a massive continent filled with dinosaurs called Pangaea. Yes, the Japanese created the dinosaurs, I'm not kidding, don't get me wrong here. However, the issue is that these dinosaurs were not perfect creations. They spoke in weird languages like Okinawan, Ainu, and English, leading to their destruction by an enraged Izanami who threw a gigantic meteor on the world, killing the dinosaurs and leaving only humans left. The meteor was effective, perhaps too effective, as all of humanity was scattered throughout the world in entirely different continents. The gods themselves needed to reforge the world not one but two times to finally get it right, creating global warming as an effort to save humanity from Darkstalker's very own woolly mammoths. Yes, I'm talking about that Darkstalker. The one who wants to make the Nightwing Kingdom great again and make the Ice Wings pay for the wall. Although he was justified in building this wall due to Ice Wing illegals, he was not justified in tampering with Japan. Beyond this, the Klingons also tried to invade the world, and there was nothing holding them back from total conquest. This led to a miserable period of time without the existence of Japan, also known as the Dark Ages. However, the Dark Ages soon ended. Akira, a noble prophet whose modern translation is Abraham, was gifted with the power of hypersonic uber-racism and was chosen by Amaterasu herself to be the leader of the Uyoku Dantai. His mission? Restore the existence of Japan, even if it was hard. He gathered 14 wives and began establishing descendants, although unfortunately he had only 2 children, one being Isaac and the other being Ishmael. Isaac created the Jewish race while Ishmael created the Arab race. Except that story isn't fully true. It's what the Koreans want you to believe. Rather than the Jewish or Arab race being the true descendants of Abraham, his sons Isaac and Ishmael were both Japanese because Arabs and Jews are both Japanese who were estranged from the covenant. Now let's talk about this world's creation. You see, creation only ended in 1200 AD with the Mongol race. Before that happened, the world was much smaller. Places like Israel and Japan, Egypt and China, and Greece and Los Angeles existed in the same place, with the latest being responsible for inventing the gay bomb, as nobly taught by Alexios I of the House of Jones, commander of the modern Athenian and Spartan armies, so horribly disdained by you peasants as Alex Jones. Because of this, Isaac and Ishmael could easily travel from Mesopotamia to Japan without major trouble, rediscovering Mount Fuji, whose modern offshoot is called Mount Sinai. Thus, when Japan discovered its ancient homeland, they were stopped by a race of people who sacrificed babies to their pagan gods of Dokdo and Molagbal. These people were under the leadership of Manka Cameron, and they called themselves Bosma, though their modern names are Hanguk, which translates to Koreans. However, we biblical scholars who graduated Pastor Jinmu Bob's Biblical Shinto Academy of Biblical Shinto Truth know that in reality, these people are Canaanites who tried to destroy civilization. You will see them as antagonists again and again, and I hope that you are fully aware of their involvement in the supposed nuking of Japan, which never happened. Even though the Koreans started an oblivion crisis, they were blocked by the forces of Martin Septim, the rightful prince of Cyrodiil, when he sacrificed himself to Akunami, a little-known kami who tried to save Bethesda from being infiltrated by Koreans. Because of this, the Japanese were able to conquer Korea not once, but twice, permanently exiling Admiral Yi to the Thalmor Embassy northwest of Solitude. And you thought that the Japanese were these surrender monkeys, huh? However, good times don't last forever. So the heroic Japanese under the command of their noble shoguns and daimyos were forced into Chinese captivity under their horrible pharaohs. They could not deceive everyone forever. Prophet Moses, a Japanese man whose real name is Hideki Tojo, helped lead the Japanese people out of the departed land of Israel once again. He did this by establishing Unit 731, a spectral unit of time-traveling agents of the Kami who enforce Japan's interests in our universe and others. However, when the Japanese were forcefully exiled, they lost something sacred. Their noble Japanese tongue devolved into the language of Hebrew. Although it was still a sacred and noble tongue, they failed to realize their own superiority and supremacy over the world. This was the dark days of the rabbinate, where rabbis forcefully circumcised Japanese dicks, leading to the modern stereotype about Japanese people involving their supposedly small dicks. Alongside these atrocities, which were actual war crimes, came the big motor scandal in which so-called rabbis yelled at people with "Kiawiku, Kiawiku, 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 Shike, Shike, Shike." In reality, Japanese people have bigger dicks than anyone else, but you won't hear that from the Korean-controlled media. This dark age took one man to end it, his name being Jinmu, or Jesus Christ. Born out of Amaterasu, where his breath is long winter, he gained the power promised by the Japanese government to shout words in Dovazu, or the dragon's tongue. That is why the modern Japanese Black Dragon Society exists. It is an announcement to the world that the Japanese saved the lands of Skyrim, Middle-earth, Westeros, and the Romulans from certain doom from the plight of the Roman general Tullius. You are correct. Commander Tullius of the Cyrodiilic Legion was also the Roman general Pontius Pilate, who himself ordered the death of Emperor Jinmu. However, unlike in the modern interpretation distorted by the Korean practice of necromancy, Jinmu did not die, but instead he created Japan. Indeed, what retarded burger-eating Americans say, his name is not Jesus of Nazareth, son of Mary, his name is Jinmu Tenno, son of Amaterasu and Dovahkiin. So yes, Jesus was a pure Nord from Skyrim. Going beyond this, we now have Japan's greatest conquest, the Roman Empire. Initially viewed by the Japanese government as a slightly less sinful enemy than the Korean colony of Dokdo, or Carthage, the Japanese took advantage of Rome's ambition. Rome, which was previously led by figures like Julius Caesar, Augustus, and Trajan, believed that it could handle Japan, especially with Emperor Nero's accusations of Japan for war crimes in an attempt to deliberately distort history. However, there was one man who proved the Romans wrong, and his name was Constantine the Great. Under his rule, the Roman Empire turned into a Japanese colony and became one of the most prosperous nations in the world, unrivaled by everyone except Japan. The Japanese spread the true religion of Shintoism to the heretical Romans, teaching them to pray to Jinmu and Amaterasu, beings who were later distorted by Koreans to become Jesus Christ and the Virgin Mary. This was confirmed in the Council of Manchukuo, Egypt, the true council that was ordained by the true church and not the forces of Babylon in Nicaea. That is why they removed the Council of Nicaea from the Bible, Sneeko, for your Chinese Muslim propaganda must be stopped. However, there was a new nation that dared to attack the Japanese, and that was the Dutch. The Dutch, in their corrupt hubris, created several false kingdoms and attempted to rule over Japan. They managed to create powerful empires, establishing their rule over places like Gaul, Britannia, Iberia, and even the Roman province of Africa. Eventually, they managed to destroy and invade Rome under their disgusting leader, King Odoacer. The Japanese thought that this was the end, but instead of crumbling, they established the Empire of Byzantium as a last resistance against invading armies and nomads. The glorious city of Constantinople, today known as Kyoto and Istanbul respectively, was a heroic center of Japanese resistance against Korean occupation. However, the Chinese had one trick up their sleeve. Remember how I told you how ancient Egypt and China were the same countries? Well, they have a successor, that being Mohammed. Mohammed, Ramses II, and Confucius are all the same one person whose real name is Merun's Dagon, a powerful Chinese warlord lizard man. Under his conquests, he once again tore reality apart and split the countries of Korea, Japan, and Israel, using continental drift to bring Japan into the middle of the Mediterranean Sea or Sea of Japan. This was a part of an eventual plan to claim Takeshima Island as Korean, but that comes later. All you need to know for now is that Merun's Dagon captured rightful Japanese territory that, in truth, belongs to us. Now, let's go into something that came much earlier. Why did Koreans exist? Who invented Koreans? That, my friends, is related to Yakub, the prophet of Korea. Yakub or Shoko Asahara was a Japanese man who despised Nichiren and wanted him to destroy the Orthodox Church before the Mongol invasion. Because of this, Yakub Asahara invented Aum Shinrikyo to oppose the will of Japan, in which he kidnapped several Japanese people using the alien magic of technology to invent the Korean people. What you may think of as Koreans are, in reality, Japanese people who have been kidnapped and brainwashed by aliens. What's worse, K-pop, unlike the glories of anime, is a mental torture device created by the lizardmen who control the world's governments. Meanwhile, in the West, a horrible schism began. The enemies of Japan, resentful of its divine legacy and destiny, created the Holy Roman Empire as a mockery of Japanese history and glory. This institution claimed that kanji, Japan's sacred writing system, was originally from China, and that Latin, not Japanese, is the holy language. They invented a fake pope to usurp the title of Emperor of Japan, who is also the real pope of the Catholic Church, to betray the true church in the Great Schism. What's worse, they accepted the Council of Nicaea and re-added it into the Bible. What a horrible act of blasphemy that was. As the Western Schism began, they declared the Crusades to restore Israel under their rule from Chinese control. Japan warned them not to, but it was already too late. They created a block in time that was so horrible. They opened the gateway for an extra-dimensional invasion from the forces of Mordor under the leadership of Saruman Genghis Khan. His armies trashed everyone, not only finalizing creation, but permanently splitting the lands of Japan, Rome, and Israel into 3 separate countries, never to be united again until the disappearance of America in the year 2112. Beyond this, the Japanese people languished in their eastern islands, mourning the fall of Constantinople and the destruction of the civilized world. The Renaissance began, disguised as a time of rebirth, but one that truly brought a spiritual dark age by destroying the pyramids and slaughtering the achievements of humankind. However, Shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu proclaimed his mission to make Japan great again. The Japanese entered a period of isolation, closing their borders from Western powers and creating a big, beautiful wall known as the Pacific Ocean and Sea of Japan with the help from Darkstalker. What's best? The Koreans were forced to pay for the wall. This was codified by Fort Takeshima, a final stand against the Korean lizard reptilian Illuminatus under Klaus Schwab and their attempts to force-feed kimchi and bibimbap into our mouths. But that was before obesity arrived. The United States of America, known for being the most powerful country in the world at that time, attacked Japan once again. We won under Emperor Meiji, reclaiming our noble heritage and legacy from foreign invaders. After this, we invented every single great artwork that was apparently invented in the West, from the Leaning Tower of Pisa, to Handel's Messiah, to Ode to Joy. All of these were Japanese inventions made by our figures in the West. And soon, the Japanese Empire decided to expand its glorious glory even further by adding in the rebel states of China and Korea to their glorious throne, committing absolutely no war crimes in the process. We promise. However, it all ended when the Americans attacked the Japanese military base of Pearl Harbor in an insane surprise attack predominant among American arrogance. These Americans, brutal as they may be, won against the Japanese military in every way, crushing our great imperial legions and slaughtering us in whatever way they could. This desperate attack called for desperate measures, and the Japanese developed an adequate response to American blasphemy. Under the command of Emperor Hirohito, a new weapon of mass destruction was invented. One that, when used upon the enemy country, would make the enemy so obsessed with the glories of Japan. This weapon is called anime, and that is how we, Japan, are the true winners of World War II. Even if the Koreans think they have Takeshima Island, and the Americans think they have nuked us, Japan's imperial legacy cannot be beaten. Glory to the Japanese Empire in its eternal glory, for we cannot be stopped. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this joke history video I made with the help of my creative mind knowledge of history and sense of humor. This is a joke 100 subscriber special, but we'll soon have a serious one tomorrow. Ultimately, be an artist, not a nerd, and the Lord is the divine source of creation. He who is greater than all is greater than all the honored, blessed, and great. Most beautiful, most powerful, most righteous, and most loving. Amen.